What's up, everybody? This is Mr. 100K a day in the flesh with another episode of the biggest hater in track and field. And today we're going to be talking about this particular athlete, Robert Howard. I don't know if you guys are familiar with him. He went to the University of Arkansas. This is a very tragic story about Robert Howard. Now, he went to the University of Arkansas. He was a great triple jumper, long jumper, and he went to the Olympics in 1996. But, this type of person, this type of athlete, highlights a lot of my problems that I have with track and field. And a lot of these guys are complete nut jobs. A whole lot of them are nut jobs. So Robert Howard, despite all of his accolades, despite all the great things he had going on for himself, he was married. His wife was a doctor. He was in med school also, and he had a lot of great things going on for himself. So but I guess things weren't enough. This was him at I believe, the 1998 NCAA championships where he was competing indoor and he was injured. And he had a pretty good career. He definitely was a talented guy. He had a pretty good career, and he had a lot of great things going on himself. From med school, he was smart, he was funny, outgoing. But like a lot of track and field athletes, guys, he was just a complete nut job. So Robert Howard's story, of course, ends in tragedy because he ends up knocking his wife off. He ended up knocking his wife off. Her name was Robin Mitchell. Like I said, this is his wife. This is his wife, and you know, I don't know why he did it. I think he did release a letter before he ended up, you know, after he, after the time in which he did what he did, he then, ended his own life. And there was a lot of articles and things about it. It was a very big story about it back at the time that it happened back in 2004. I don't know why every year, Olympic year, it seems like a lot of bad things happen. A lot of Olympians or people who are really talented in track, for some reason, they find themselves. It just seems like they end up doing a lot of negative things to themselves or to others. I've seen it. We saw it just the last Olympics. We saw around the same time in August. This particular thing happened on August the 18th, 2004. Like with the situation I had with Cameron Burrell just a few years ago. I guess the pressure got to him. The Olympics are going on, and I don't know. These guys decide to just do a lot of horrible, horrible things. But you know, one of the things that I find interesting is how um, Robert Howard, you know, he when he ended his own life, they say he jumped out of a window. I'm gonna read this article to you guys right here. It says Robert Howard had two dreams: winning an Olympic medal and becoming a doctor. He went far in pursuing both goals. He made the finals he made the finals in the triple jump twice in Atlanta 8 years ago, and again in Sydney 2000. He had completed 2 years of medical school. Then early Saturday, just as the 2004 Summer Games were getting underway in Athens, Howard leaped to his death from a dormitory next to the University of Arkansas for medical sciences, dressed in blood splattered surgical scrubs. Police surmised the blood was that of Howard's wife, Dr. Robin Mitchell, whose body was found when the officers went to notify her of her husband's death. She had been stabbed nearly 50 times. 50 times, y'all. 50 times. Howard, 28, left a rambling note apologizing for his perceived failures, but no mention of having killed his wife. Yet, investigators are calling the deaths a murder-suicide. This may be a case we never know, Sergeant Terry Hardings said Tuesday. Probably the two people who can tell us are dead. Mitchell, 31, so his wife was 31 years old, was chief neurology resident at the medical school's teaching hospital, and herself a track star in her hometown of Newborough, New York, about 75 miles north of New York City. Howard was a third-year medical student whose athleticism was proven. The star athlete from Shea High School in Rhode Island was a 10-time NCAA champion at the University of Arkansas, earning titles in the indoor and outdoor long jump and triple jump, and he had finished seventh and eighth, respectively, in his Olympic appearances. Police reports and newspaper accounts reveal Howard had a history of arrests. In 1995, he was arrested for threatening his then girlfriend. The woman said she was afraid Howard would hurt her, and the charge against him was dropped when she decided not to pursue it. In Fayetteville, where Howard did his undergraduate work, Police records show he was arrested several times, including once in 1998 for pulling a gun on another man during an argument over a woman. The disposition of that charge was unclear. Howard was accepted into medical school in 1999, but decided to wait a year so that he can devote his energy to the Sydney Games. I want to start that part of my life, but I'm not ready yet, Howard said of medical school in a 2000 interview. First, I want to jump 57.5 or 57.9 at the games. That's what I want now. It appears Howard and Mitchell met sometime early last year at school. They were married in May of 2003, school officials said, 5 months after she transferred from Ohio State University. Howard decided to take another year off to train for the games in Atlanta. This time, though, he didn't make the team, finishing fifth at the U.S. Olympic trials. I knew he was very down after and performed at the trials. I was knew he was very down after he performed at the trials. But I know Robert, and I don't think that he had anything. This had anything to do with that. Mike Connolly, who coached Howard at the University of Arkansas and helped him train for this year's Olympic trials and from the Olympics in Athens. He's already been to the Olympics. He's already done a lot of things. I've always advised him he needed to pursue his medical career and forget about jumping. Howard returned to medical school this summer and was described by spokeswoman Leslie Taylor as a good student. So, guys, I always, I hate stories like this. These are absolute tragedies, but these are things that happen a lot in track and field. A lot of mental illness. A lot of these people are talking about all the time, talking about doing things to themselves and about the depression. We've seen, if you watch a lot of interviews with English Gardner, a lot of these people who are not as successful as they want to be, this is what they talk about. This is what they do. And I don't understand why it's so prevalent in track and field. You know, it's just a very, very crazy thing to me, why a man with those type of accolades in track and field would do such a thing. I just don't understand it. I think it's important that um track and field, I don't know if it's a money thing because or if it's a success thing, because we've seen people who've had a lot of money, who've had a lot of success, and they've still decided to do things to themselves or to other people. But I do know if you don't have any money, and if you're not successful, that really compounds situations to be a lot worse than it really should be. But if you have a person who makes money but they're not successful for real in track and field, then that can help, make you feel a little better, make you not want to do horrible things. So that's why I think track and field needs to, especially in the United States, needs to really work on. They need to really work on helping each other. Nowadays you have social media. So even if you don't have the most successful track and field career, you can end up still being, making a lot of money, and you can still end up doing things such as excuse me, you could still end up doing things such as
Ago, this was Robert Howard doing a bounding drill he never wanted to ever do. Robert, you just
I'm sorry about that, y'all. You can still end up being relatively successful in track and field if you have a following. So you may not have the money you may not have the success on the track that you may want, but you can still have a following and
this
still
was
do a
Robert
lot.
Howard doing a
You can still do a lot of things like have money, and you can still travel. You can still take care of your family, even you don't have to say, because you got social media, you have a following, people can pay you. You got so many different resources. That's Lewis Johnson, I believe, back in the day when he was talking to Robert Howard. Lewis Johnson is still around now, but I don't know, guys. It would never, I would never be able to fully understand why these guys do some of the things that they do. You guys should check out the story. Robert Howard had like I said, he had an amazing, amazing career. It's a shame he wasn't more successful at the Olympics. Uh, but nobody, nothing is guaranteed in track and field. Nothing is, uh, you could be in the best shape and still just not perform well when it matters. And you only get really one opportunity. You get the Olympics, you get this one shot, and you got to operate right then and there. And even at your best, you can still be outperformed by somebody who does things better. So yeah, this was a very tragic story. So a lot of you guys, you youngins, probably don't remember this guy or probably never heard of this guy. But this is a very, very tragic story, and I'm going to be continuously bringing you guys uh, stories that happen in track and field of the gangsters in track and field, guys who went out, who went out like went out crazy, and the underworld of track and field, the bad side of track and field, and things that have gone on that a lot of people probably sweep under the rug and they don't talk about. So always, we always should keep Robin's family in our prayers, because it was unfortunate what happened to Robin. She didn't deserve that. As a wife, she was a doctor. She had a lot of positive things going on for her life. This happened 20 years ago. She would probably be about 51 years old right now had the incident not happened to her. Robert Howard will be about 48, and you know we need to work together to make sure things like this don't happen continuously in track and field, and try to make sure these track and field athletes get help financially, and make sure they get help psychologically, because a lot of them are really, really screwed up. So anyway, guys, this has been another episode of The Biggest Hater in Track and Field, and I hope this video was informative to you guys, and I want to thank you guys for supporting the channel. Please join the channel. Now the lowest entry thing is only about $6 a month, and you guys can help me keep producing more great content and bringing you guys more informative material from with more informative track and field material and information, and it's going to always be entertaining. I'll catch you guys later. Peace.